This week on Down the Right Field Line with Marlins Nation, we're going to be talking about the 8-1 road trip. What were the ups and downs of the road trip? And Bell's still not getting it. What's going on here? All of that and more coming up next. Welcome to the latest edition of Down the Right Field Line, now with Marlins Nation. Make sure to click on any of the links if you want to fast forward to any point of the show. After finishing a homestand where the Marlins went 1-3 against the Diamondbacks, the Marlins went out on the road to what is going to be the longest road trip thus far in the season. And they knew it was going to be tough. They're going to be going to San Francisco, San Diego, and then Houston. A lot of pitching there in San Francisco. So let's get right into it. Nolasco, going into the Giants series, has been dominant in AT&T Park. He has a 3-0 record with a 0.76 ERA in 3 starts. So you knew he was going to be on his game there. He's pitched really well against the Giants. And again, he had a really dominant start. So going into the game, Hanley had been struggling. Early on, you saw him kind of rejuvenating himself. He hit a liner the opposite way to score a run, and it was really good to see Hanley go the opposite field. Stanton was on his game. He hit a line drive home run down the left field line. And Ricky was on his game that day. He pitched 7 1/3 innings, only allowed 1 run, which was a Pablo Sandoval home run. On his game, another win for Ricky, just dominant. Bell came into the game, actually got a save this time, no blown save. Got a save. Marlins win. So game 1 up, great way to start the road trip. Got Bell some confidence, got the whole pitching rotation some confidence. And you just saw the Marlins saying, okay, the homestand is over. Let's focus on this road trip. In game 2, you had the matchup of the Z's. You had Big Z, Zambrano, and Barry Zito. Zambrano was on his game this time. And you're just starting to see that the Big Z is here for real this season. And put together another great start. Unfortunately for him, he didn't get the win in that game because Bell came in again to try to get the save. And he was actually taken out early, because he wasn't his dominant self. The Heath Bell that we paid for 2012, the form that he's had the past few seasons has not translated into this season. And again, he allowed runners. Ozzie decided to take him out before he blew the save. Cishek came in. It was the Giants ended up tying the game. And then you're like, oh great, now it's over. The Giants are gonna win. And then Giancarlo Stanton. This guy's on fire. Game 2, another home run in the 10th inning. Another line drive. I mean, it looks like the ball didn't get up but 10 feet. Went all the way out. Home run. Marlins win it in extra innings. Cishek got the win. And you're just starting to see Cishek racking up all these wins. It gets you kind of worried, because when somebody in the bullpen has more wins than people in the rotation, shows that you're having a lot of blown saves. The momentum in the starting rotation carried over to game 3 of the series, where Aníbal Sánchez pitched another gem. Sanchez is just on fire, as well as other people in the rotation. And like we've talked in episodes past, the rotation is carrying this team. It's just now the offense is showing up, so now we can take advantage of that great rotation. Sanchez, another great start, pitched 7 innings, 7 hits, 1 earned run, 5 strikeouts. He's his old self, just attacking the strike zone, getting ground balls. Incredible defense behind him. You had Hanley, after a bunt by Pagan, barehanded the ball, threw it to first base. You're really starting to see Hanley comfortable at third base, which is what you want to see if we're going to compete this year. We need to have great, stellar defense And with Hanley obviously moving from shortstop, there was a lot of question marks. You're starting to see him step up in this series. Had a great defensive play. Infante had a few great plays. And the Marlins actually were able to score a run in the 8th inning with a runner in scoring position. Reyes got a base hit up the middle, gave the Marlins a 3-1 lead. It was a big run because Mojica ended up coming into the game, allowed a run, but he was able to close out the game for the Marlins' 3rd consecutive win, sweeping the Giants. And for the 2nd year in a row, the Marlins sweep the Giants in AT&T Park. And Rafi, you know, what's the overall consensus of this series as far as what you liked and some negatives that, you know, you can take out of this series?
Well, as far as negatives, we still saw the top of the order kind of struggle a little, batting 200 during the series, and with the bullpen not being able to solidify some leads in certain games. So there's stuff there to still work on, but I did like what I saw from Giancarlo Stanton, 5 for 15 with 2 home runs in the series, and of course the rotation posting a 0.84 ERA combined. That means 2 runs in 21 1/3 innings. And also I'd like to point out that the top of the order combined for 7 steals in the series. That means that they're getting on base. That means that they're wreaking havoc on the base paths, and they're just making their presence known. And I think that was the original intention for the offseason, was to wreak havoc for those pitchers and allow the big boys to drive them in.
So after coming off a series sweep of the Giants, with a rotation, as you mentioned, Rafi, a 0.84 ERA, we went into the San Diego series with JJ on the mound. And you're like, okay, finally, JJ, you're going to have to step up. The rest of the rotation stepping up. It's your turn, JJ. Let's see what you got. He didn't have his stuff. And, you know, the Marlins scored a lot of runs for him early. You had Hanley with a 3-run shot in the 1st inning. Stanton with a 2-run shot, same inning. And you're like, okay, 5-0 lead, JJ on the mound. Oh, this game should be wrapped up. It wasn't that at all. And JJ actually got taken out in the 3rd inning. Shortest stint of his major league career. 2 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 6 earned runs, and you're not seeing JJ, you know, executing his pitches. You're not seeing his confidence. The Marlins did eventually take the lead, 8-7 lead, going into the 9th. And Bell's return to San Diego, where he pitched so great in the last few seasons, he comes in, blows another save, and San Diego obviously was able to tie it. They almost won it. We were able to get out the inning, and then Infante came through in extra innings, driving the winning run. Cishek finished off the game. In game 2, it was Richards versus Burley, and Burley is his dominant self again in this game. He actually showed off why he's won Gold Gloves in the past. And then Burley had a slow ground ball hit to him, and he actually backhanded it and sweeped it over to home plate, where Buck was able to get the out at home. And you were just like, whoa. And, you know, that's Mark Burley for you. And we haven't seen it that much with a Marlins uniform, but he has a great glove, and you just saw it there. And he's just a winner. I mean, pitched well, great defense. Has a certain presence on the mound. Doesn't throw 99 or anything, but just a winner. And he showed it in this game. And then Greg Dobbs in the 8th inning ended up getting a key hit, which would give the Marlins a 2-1 lead. And then Stanton again comes up, hits a total bomb to left field, hit the Western Supply Company building out in left field in San Diego. And he's just locked in right now. And Mark Burley ended up going the distance, 9 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 116 pitches. You know, really kept it under control. Didn't have that many strikeouts, but that was the key for him to go the distance with only 116 pitches. And it was a big, complete game for the Marlins, because in the game just the day before, they went 12 innings. The bullpen needed a day off. Mark Burley really, you know, took it upon himself to go to complete game. And it helped the Marlins bullpen big time, and the Marlins won again. In game 3, it was Ricky versus Windland, and you know, Ricky, hottest starter out of everybody in the rotation, and again he was on his game this game. It just seems like a trend with this road trip. Starters stepping up one after the other, except for JJ, obviously. And Ricky, again, pitched really well. Although, for the second time in this series, a pitcher gets a key hit, scoring some runs, and then you're like, oh great, now how's Ricky gonna bounce back from that? Lomo ended up tying the game in the 6th with a triple, and then going into the 8th inning, you had Cashner out there throwing 101 miles per hour. Sometimes it was at 102. Guy was just throwing flames up there. But, he didn't have spot on control. He loaded the bases, and then Stan came up, ended up getting a walk. And then when Gabby was up, there was a wild pitch that scored another run. Marlins ended up winning 6-3 with Mojica closing out the game. Mojica's, kind of stepping into that closer role while Heath Bell is, not being very consistent. He closes out the game, and the Marlins win. Ricky, 7 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, and that victory got Ricky tied with Dontrell Willis for the team lead in wins as a franchise. And next start for Ricky, he's going to have the opportunity to take the top spot. Rafi, what are your keys for this series? What did you get from it? Was it a lot of the lack of bullpen, or the offense stepping up?
Well, in this series, I think it was just the fact that the offense got the timely hitting going. We saw it in Game 1 with the 5 runs in the first inning. Then we saw it later on in the series with key hits by Dobbs, or would it be Lomo with the triple in the last game of the series, and Gabby Sanchez as well. So you're starting to see guys come up with timely hits, and I thought that was important. Earlier in the season, you weren't seeing those opportunities that, okay, this is where you have to get a base hit. You can't hit into an out. So I thought that was very key for this particular series.
And you really saw that the team as a whole was really picking up that bullpen, because the bullpen on this road trip has been horrendous. And anytime the bullpen's blown the save, Marlins come out swinging, get together some runs. Sometimes they did go into extra innings and they wouldn't score runs for a few innings, and then they'd finally win in like the 12th. But the team as a whole is really saying, well, if the bullpen's going to be lacking, we got to pick it up on the offense. So then going into Houston, hopes astronomically high, 6-0. We're playing Houston. Houston was actually on a roll going into the series, but, nothing was stopping the fish. The offense, again, scoring runs. You had Stan, again, liners. And this one actually went into the Crawford boxes, which, the Crawford boxes are kind of for those cheap home runs, but there's no cheap home runs with Stan. I think he actually got jammed on this pitch. Hanley later on in the game hit a bomb into the train tracks in Houston. And again, all home runs in this game. The story of this game, though, was Big Z. Big Z stepped up big time through a complete game. In the past, he's pitched against Houston. He's pitched really well. He threw a no-hitter against them. In this game, he was lights out. 9 innings, 3 hits, 9 strikeouts. Hasn't had a shutout since September of 2009. You can see just how long it's been since Big Z has had it all together. And, they interviewed him afterwards, and he talked a lot about how his faith in God had a lot to do with it, and how he feels more comfortable on the mound. That gave us a 7-game winning streak going into Game 2, and, a lot of confidence in this team. And you can see in the clubhouse that the guys are just confident right now. They think, even if we're down, we can win games. The home run ball came out again in Game 2, where you had Infante and Buck both going into the Crawford boxes against Aniri Rodriguez. And Sanchez again came out, pitched pretty decent. In the 6th inning, there was 2 outs. They had the bases loaded. 2 outs, a soft ground ball to Omar Infante. He gets it, throws him out. It's the end of the inning. But what happens was, he kind of took his eye off of it a little bit, didn't grab it cleanly, dropped it, picks it up again, throws it to first, and way off. It actually bounces off the screen, comes back to Gabby. By that time, 2-run score. They give Omar Infante 2 errors. And I'll get your view on that in a little bit, Rafi. 2 errors on that play I thought was a little bit ridiculous. Maybe 1 error, but 2 errors was a little bit absurd.
I don't know. I think I disagree with you. I think he does deserve the 2 errors. The first one is he took his eye off the ball and he fumbled around with it. And then at that point, you have no... It's not that you have no business throwing it first, but at least look at where you're throwing. It almost looked like he threw it blindly. And of course, I think you deserve the error if you're going to throw it like that. If you're going to play it that way, then yeah. That
tied the game at 2, and then Bogusevic in the 8th inning ended up giving the Astros the lead, which they would not let up. Brett Myers comes in, closes the game out, and the Marlins lose for the first time on the road trip. Going to wrap up the series, Game 3 in Houston. JJ back out on the mound. You can really see that he wanted to finish out the road trip strong. Everybody else in the rotation had a stellar road trip except for JJ. Carried a 3-2 lead into the 4th. Ended up coming out after 7 innings, 2 earned runs, 6 strikeouts. But you really saw an improvement with JJ. And, you know, I liked what I saw out of him. A little bit of drama came up when Wilton Lopez came into the game. Nailed Hanley on the first pitch. And it was a pretty dangerous location. It was kind of in his face area. It really caused a stir. If you remember, the last time these two faced each other was in Marlins Park, and Hanley hit a bomb off of him. So now first pitch in this series gets hit, and you know Hanley didn't like it. He walked down the first base line. The umpire followed him. You know, they were going back and forth. He ended up being taken out of the game, and you kind of saw him doing this thing, you know, the Lovista, but he kind of did it wrong because he was kind of doing like the 70s thing. I don't know. You can tell that he was upset because of Hanley. I guess last time he hit a home run, he did the Lovista. But that's the Marlins thing. Get used to it with the Rangers doing their thing. So Cishek ended up blowing the save, and the Marlins as a whole have blown 8 of the 13 save opportunities this season. So you're seeing the bullpen in disarray right now. But again, the offense is what's bailing these guys out. Later on, Infante comes in. He had done the error the day before. Comes through, base hit, wins the ball game for the Marlins. You know, you had all these controversial plays in Houston. You know, what did you think about these plays, and did guys overreact on some of them?
The whole Lovista thing going on there, stupid to throw at somebody, in that situation. You're already down if you're the Astros, so why would you put a runner on base? That's stupid, and Hanley could steal the bag anyway. Like Tommy Hutton said in Wednesday's broadcast, he better get used to it in Arlington when you have Josh Hamilton and Nelson Cruz and all these guys taking him deep, doing the antlers. And it was encouraging to see Bell with that shutout inning in Wednesday's game against the Astros, allowing just that 1 hit. So maybe that'll carry over and to hopefully get him back on track as the close that he's supposed to be. You wish you could have swept it, but hey, I'll take 2 out of 3 and 8-1 overall.
And now you saw this road trip, the best 9-game road trip in the history of the Marlins. They pulled out 8 out of the 9 games, which they've never done in their history, and that includes both World Series championship teams. A new segment that we're going to be starting off in our next episode is going to be allowing you, the fans, to have your own segment on our show. Just replying to this video or any of our videos with your own video, telling us your perspective on anything Marlins, anything baseball related, and just give us your opinion. We'll pick one every episode and answer whatever question you pose. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook. We got Marlins Nation now part of it, so follow them at their Facebook page, and also MiamiMarlinsNation.com. They also have a Twitter account. As for now, that's it. We'll see you next week, but we'll leave you with our random video of the week, which we like to call
The Mega Freak Out.